good morning and afternoon or evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. Hi, I'm Lisa Ackberry, your hair doctor, and today we're going to continue our book tour, our cyber reading on the Black Woman's Guide to Beautiful Hair. And yes, I'm excited as well. We are in the chapter or the series or the part of the book that's on the scalp, which is so crucial because the scalp is the foundation. We spent several months on the mind, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I was so excited about actually reading that and writing it and being able to give that extra commentary on it. So with that being said, I want to do something a little different before we start. I do want to go over some of the questions, and that's where you guys can pose your questions to me as it relates to maybe the chapter or this part before. So let's get the questions that I received from the part last week, okay? All right, it says, one question starts, and you guys had some cute little comments to say, and I was really excited about that. So let's see if I got all of them, okay? And we'll start at the bottom. One of my subscribers, one of my family members, I call you guys my family because you are. You said that it was so this is so informative. I'm so happy that you're my hair doctor, and I am your hair doctor. I'm so glad that you know that and you appreciate that and you want me to be your hair doctor. I'm going to order the book. Also, I love your hair. I love your hair. You look beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so sweet of you. Thank you for that compliment. And you guys gotta send me some pictures of your hairstyles and some of the things so that I can post them, or I can, because we're gonna do something really different on my website. I'm always talking about something different. Some things I get around to, some things I don't. But I really want to, see you guys a little bit more. So if you want to send me some pictures of some of the hairstyles, some of the things that you've done since I became your hair doctor, some of the different positive things, please send me images. And yeah, I'm going to do some great things with those. And definitely I will print them and put them in my office, but I also I'm thinking about doing some things on my website. But anyways, next comment or question: such valuable information from a very reliable source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because there are a lot of people out there that know a lot about hair. They're cosmetologists, they're consumers such as yourself, they're scientists, they're researchers, they're chemists. There are a lot of people that know a lot of things. What I want to do when I give my reliable information so that you become educated, I really want to get the positive feedback. Now, positive feedback doesn't always mean that you're going to compliment me. It may mean, hey, hair doctor, check out this site. I believe that this works well, or whatever works well. I know you said you don't think it works well, but I believe it. Check this out, some research I found. Let's do that so we can really have an empowerment dialogue, something that people who are just hungry for this knowledge, if you have it, then that's great. But if some people that are hungry for the knowledge can benefit from it. It's not really about who's right and wrong. It's really about sharing, okay? All right, the next one said, hey, remember the episode about popping my collar? I love it. Yep. It said, pop your collar, LOL. It said, remember the episode about Jamie Foxx show when he was shooting that vid about the song Pop the Collar. Pop that collar. Okay. All right, let's see. Floating above your head. I mean, really. This one says, LOL, your hair floating above your head, Dr. Ackberry. Your nails are nice. Oh, thank you. I wish your hair grew like yours. Your earrings are so cute. This is just a compliment. But she had said, quick question. She said, oh, very quick question. I purchased a leave-in conditioner that has protein, lipids, and some other ingredients that is supposed to stop snap effects on the hair. My hair is a lot stronger. That's great, and has shown improvement. I think it was just a comment. Yeah, I mean, this is great. When you find something that works, please do share. But we also want to talk about, when you think about protein, just keep it balanced, okay? Just keep everything balanced. Don't use ever. Just be really careful about getting that humectants there, because protein alone, of course, will cause some moisture levels to actually won't help the moisture levels to rise, and sometimes with certain proteins it can cause them to drop. So be really careful to keep it balanced. So that's great. Hair floating above your head. Yeah, we have to treat our scalp as if scalp is skin, because it is. We can't treat it like our hair is not an appendage of the skin. It says, so when you comb, and this next person said, so when you use a comb to scratch your scalp, it's not good practice. What happens? Please share. She wanted to know. What happens? And she thanked me for sharing. See, I should pay attention and just read what you're saying, guys. Okay. When you scratch your scalp, you create microscopic tears on the tissue. Over a period of time, you wear through the epidermis, the cornea layer, which is that top of the top skin. The cornea is the top of the epidermis, and it actually protects. You keep wearing away, you can get to the basal, the basement layer, the area where right before the dermis. And if that happens, you can cause scalp infections. You can open the scalp up for negative bacteria to develop. So there's lots of injury to the skin, second-degree skin damage, and most importantly, I guess so you would say most importantly as it relates to the hair follicle is in the dermis. So when you scratch, you are working your way to the dermis. It affects the renewing process. Sometimes you can destroy the derma papilla, which is the life and the heart of the hair. So it is very dangerous to scratch the scalp. Do not scratch your scalp. When you want, if you have a flaky scalp or itchy scalp, use a clarifier. Allow it to sit on your scalp. Using an applicator bottle, massage the clarifier through your scalp. Try to get under your hair so you're not tangling your hair, and then put a plastic cap on, cotton around your head, and sit under a hot dryer for 10, even 15 minutes and just sweat it out. And then after that, rinsing really well with warm water, then clarify again, and then you want to condition. Protein and moisture. And at the end, you want to make sure you're lubricating your scalp so that you can seal in moisture. So you want to oil the scalp while the hair is wet before you do all the other things you're going to do to your hair. Alright, thanks guys. Alright, next question. Co-washing wasn't working for me. It just didn't clean my scalp. It really doesn't. Co-washing, the benefit to co-washing, if you want to give it a benefit, because I think the bad outweighs the good, but the benefit to co-washing is it conditions the hair and helps with detangling, but it doesn't clean. So over a period of time, you get a negative buildup. Okay, the next one, it says, so what do you recommend doing instead of scratching your scalp? And I just said that, so just kind of listen up on that one. It says, hi, I have a quick question. The ends of my hair are dyed blonde while the root is number 2. I want to dye my ends back the same color. What color dye would I use? 2N, 3N? Now, I'm not sure if what she's speaking of, but there are different, the terminology is going to vary, the number system is going to vary, but I can tell you if that 2 is something that's dark, and this is hopefully we didn't dye our hair, the ends of your hair is blonde. If the hair is blonde, then you pulled all the color out of the hair shaft. Blonde is the lightest of lightest, right below gray. So right below white. White is the total absence of color pigment. Blonde is the yellow, the gold. That's right below you get to the white. Well, and it says while the roots is number 2. Okay, and so if your hair close to the scalp is dark, then you want to be really careful. You want the ends back there. Okay, you have to make sure that you should go see a colorist. I'm going to tell you that first and foremost, because what they're going to need to do is put some tones, a base in there so that you don't turn green. You have to be careful. You start trying to go back dark when you have light hair, you're going to turn green. So they're going to have to deposit some type of red pigments into the hair, and you want it safe. And then they can go back and then they can pull that hair into the darker tones. Deposit those darker tones in there. You need a colorist, my love. Alright? Okay, I think that's all the questions that we had after the, I just want to be sure. I don't want to miss anybody. I think I got all of them. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get to the book. Okay. Now let's see. We started. We start. The last thing I think we talked about was scratching the scalp and lifting the dander, and we dealt with that really well. But we want to talk about low level and high level scalp damage, because this is what causes a problem with how our hair actually emerges from the scalp. In other words, we're going to feel that our hair is not growing. It's actually growing in the follicle with low level damage, but it won't emerge because the top, the epidermis, is always so damaged and blocking the actual mouth of the follicle or the mouth of the follicular units. In second degree or a high level damage, you can destroy the follicle, so your hair will stop growing. So this can affect how your hair grows. Okay, let me just kind of read some of the things I put in my book. There are two levels of damage. We have a damage that can occur on the scalp. There's low level and high level, or first degree and second degree, similar to burns. The causes of these two types of damage are innumerable. Wow, did I have a word that I didn't say? However, there is one thing that you can be sure of. If you damage your scalp, no matter at what level, left untreated, you will continue to have problems. It'll be a vicious cycle because the skin is trying to renew itself. Many women do negative things to their scalp and can cause scalp damage, as I mentioned earlier. But in many cases, they don't understand why. Some are confused about why this is happening to their scalp, or why it happens at certain times of the year. You know, sometimes your scalp may be, say, drier, and sometimes it may flake more or itch more for no apparent reason. You're just not sure. You may say, I put oil on my scalp, but it's still dry. There is a reason why this is happening. Your scalp may be experiencing some level of scalp damage. Let's talk about low-level scalp damage for just a moment. Okay? All right. Low-level scalp damage, you may experience one or more symptoms, such as you may experience a dry scalp, flaky or itchy. Low-level scalp damage can derive from many sources, and most of the time, you never notice how your small day-to-day activities actually contribute to this type of damage. Two of the causes of low-level damage are exposure to dry climate, and sudden temperature changes. Different parts of the world experience different climates. In some parts of the world, the winters are cold and dry, and in some parts of the world, the winters or summers may be hot, but still dry. And yet, in other parts, they may be considerably hot and humid. Now, this is a matter. Whether you have hot or cold climates, the skin will react negatively to the dryness in the air. Have you ever noticed the difference in the appearance of your skin and climates where it's dry versus the times when the climates are really humid? In places where there's cold and dry winters, you'll notice more of that dry, what do we call it, ashy appearance to the skin. You know, on our legs, on our arms, different places, we will notice that. And we'll consistently apply lotions and moisturizers to lubricate our skin to keep it from cracking and peeling and chafing. On some cold winter days, you may notice that your face will burn, and that's just a wind burn, but it's rough. It becomes rough and dry. Remember, the scalp is skin, and your scalp can become dry when it's overexposed to dry weather as well. And this is low-level scalp damage that can at some point turn into high-level scalp damage. So you really, really, really have to be careful with that, okay? Okay, and I'm just reading some of this because, as you know, I will go on, and I want to stay organized, and I want to get through a lot of this. Okay, it's right here. Let's see, where did we stop? Okay, in these conditions, just as the skin on your body, your scalp can feel tight and dry, then it'll itch and flake. So you get the tightness and the dryness, and then the itching and the flaking. Just start paying attention to that sometimes. Just pay attention to how that process goes. Scratching the scalp will cause more damage because that's what we end up doing. We get tightness, dryness, and then the itch. And then we scratch. And that's not what you want to do. The dryness is a form of low-level damage and should not be ignored, or it definitely shouldn't be aggravated by scratching. Areas where cold, dry winters occur are further complicated by extreme sudden temperature changes. Now, how does that happen? For example, where you have cold, dry winters, your scalp goes through very traumatic, really extreme conditions in the course of one given day. And how is that? Let's just give you an example. During a typical night, many of us, after retiring for the evening, tend to keep our houses pretty toasty, kind of warm, except some of us who are having personal summers, causing hot, dry air. The next morning, however, we expose our scalp as we go outside to cold, dry air. Okay? Next, you go back into, you go out, and some of you will warm up your car. So then you got cold, dry air. You go back into the house, you have warm, dry air. Then you finish getting dressed and you put your, put your coat on, whatever you're gonna do in the house. Get a bottle of water or a cup of coffee or whatever you're gonna get. And then you go back outside, cold, dry air. You get in the car, warm, dry air. You get to work, you go outside, cold, dry air. You get in the building, warm, dry air. You sit at your desk, you lotion your hands, and you scratch your scalp. Sounds familiar? We do that because our scalp is just exposed to this all day long. It's very, very traumatic. We're not even counting the times that we go back out for lunch and go back in, and then go back out to go home and go back in. So this is all day long. So you have to be careful to hydrate. So when you go out in the morning, hydrate. Put an extra, lubricate your scalp, and especially hydrate your hair. Just put moisturizer on your ends and then rub it through the hair, because you know that you're going to feel that difference. Because the air and what you're feeling is, if you really look at it, the air itself, the moisture is not in the air, so it's drawing from your clothes, your face, your hair, your scalp, the skin. It's drawing from all of that. So when you go into these dry climates, whether it's cold dry or hot dry, you're going to pull moisture from the atmosphere will pull moisture from you, because there's no moisture in the air, and that's why you dry out. So you've got to take care. You've got to be ready for that. Okay, guys? Even though you can't realistically avoid these changes in the temperature, there are some remedies to alleviate this. And those are things that we want to think about. And that's why you'll hear me talk about these certain things like our shampoos. Their subconscious mind will grasp this, because this is all new, and you're bringing this information in, you're memorizing it, you're coming to know it, it's becoming a part of you. So there we go. So your subconscious mind is saying, hey, wait a minute, I know what to do about this. I'm aware, or it's aware that, oh, it's going to be really dry today, or yeah, I got heater on, it's cold out, I could heater on the house, heater in the car. Okay, I need to take some steps. I need to be careful because I don't want my hair dry and brittle. Number one, you got to stay with the right kinds of shampoos. Using a shampoo with a pH 4.5 to 5.5, and I'll remind you that that's the pH of our hair and scalp, so it's really important. And you're going to have to do that because the alkaline shampoos will cause our hair to over dry. And you've heard of pH balance, and you heard me talk about that. On the average pH scale, 0 to 14, 7 is neutral, but our hair is not pH balanced. Our hair is more acidic, so you want to stay with that 4.5 to 5.5, more acidic balance. And those are things that is really, really important. Let's try to get into some of the high level scalp damage. But I want to say this: if dryness persists after you use a shampoo, then you want to make sure that you remember your epidermis will hold 20% of its weight in moisture. So after you shampoo, oil your scalp with the oil, lightly oil it from ear to ear, front to back. So you get product placement and even distribution. And I'm just going to take my fingers and show you. You're going to start on one side of the head, and you're going to go, and you're just oiling your scalp. You're opening up your hair, and you oil it, and you make your way all the way over to the opposite side, and you're opening up the hair and you're oiling. And then you're going to massage, and this is why your hair is wet. And then you're going to let it dry. And so when it dries, it will hold that moisture because oil lubricates and seals in hydration. Okay? All right, now let's go to some high level. See if we can get this in the next 10 minutes. Some high level scalp damage. With high level scalp damage, the scalp becomes thinner, more susceptible to more serious problems. High level scalp damage means you damage beyond the epidermis, which is your protective skin, into the dermis. With high level scalp damage, your scalp becomes so thin, and it could cause problems with scalp infection instead of creating a positive scalp experience when you're working with your scalp. You're creating a negative one, and that's not good. The low level damage period, many women will get by. They scratch, they get by. But when you get into high level, that's another problem. I mentioned earlier, do not do negative things to your scalp, such as scratching, and many black women, especially sisters, will treat a dirty, itchy, flaky scalp by piling grease products on top of it. There's some out there. I'm not going to name them. I named some of them in my book, but I'll say them. You know how we love. We grew up, we love Sulfur 8. We love Glover's Mean. There's so many others, but you guys are doing some other things. You're using a lot of pure oils, and I'm proud of you for that. But even the pure oils on a dirty scalp, it's no good because they can't lubricate. They're only creating cosmetic pollutants because they're mixing with the environmental pollutants and the scalp pollutants, which is dry skin and then other debris, dust and dirt. So even the best oils are not good on a dirty scalp. The first, which seemed at the first just seemed to help dryness. Those old remedies we had, it seemed to help it, but again, it begins to cause problems. Another thing with these really dense grease ladies, I want to say that they don't rinse clean, and they attract dirt and debris, so they cause more problems. So you definitely don't want to do those. Okay, you don't want to clog your pores and things like that. And all of this will lead to other problems, fungal problems, infection, bacteria. It's just awful. Okay, and low-level scalp damage and evolves eventually to high-level scalp damage, and your scalp will become sensitive. How many of you ladies who wear relaxers out there say, I just had a sensitive scalp? Matter of fact, I can promise you over 50% of my patients who've grown natural because relaxer has scared them to death. It's just like relaxers burn. My scalp is sensitive. My scalp has become sensitive. But you may have heard me say this in the past. A sensitive scalp is just a damaged scalp, okay? So it's become sensitive because you've now damaged into the dermis, your pain receptors are responding, and your scalp is sensitive. You cannot relax here. You cannot scratch into your scalp. You cannot use harsh products. You cannot keep your scalp dirty over a period of time. You are going to hit the dermis. You're going to work your way and damage into it, and you're going to cause problems. So, ladies, let's stop it. Okay? At this time, almost everything that your scalp becomes in contact with is sensitive. I've had patients to say, "Oh, you know what? I burn even with shampoo. I burn when water is put on it." And I look at their scalp under the microscope, and they're at the basal layer. It's so sensitive, and that's a problem. And really, some are beyond the basal. They're into the dermis. The dermis is exposed. Let's see. Then, at the time of the chemical application, the relaxer, the color, everything burns. So next week, we're going to talk about chemical burns. We're going to talk about chemical burns. We're going to talk about dandruff or dry scalp. What is that stuff on your scalp? Is it dandruff or is it dry scalp? And then I'm going to give you one woman's story, one of my patients' stories, as we go through this. And we've got some other things, negative buildup. We've got a lot of things we're going to talk about. But low-level and high-level scalp damage is serious. I will tell you right away. I conducted a study called Scalp is Skin, and I proved in the study that scalp treatment, scalp problems left untreated will lead to alopecia, baldness. Many of my patients who come in have alopecia or baldness called follicular epidermis alopecia because of high-level scalp damage. It's aging. It's an aging effect of the scalp. And I wrote about that in a book I wrote called Every Woman's Guide to Beautiful Hair at Any Age. Once we go through Black Woman's Guide, and I just love you guys so much for going through this book with me and just loving what I'm doing because it encourages me. And I just want you to know, I want you to learn from this. I don't want to see you guys losing your hair because of high-level scalp damage. And low-level scalp damage always leads to high-level scalp damage. Okay? I love you guys. I'm Lisa Ackberry, your hair doctor, and I am. To God be the glory in Jesus. I love you. I will see you next week right here. Keep the questions coming. We'll do that little opening again. And we're going to talk more about the scalp as we go through Black Woman's Guide to Beautiful Hair. You guys have a blessed, wonderful day, evening.